I got a question for you. When you think of an A chord, what do you see? What do you think of in your mind? Is it this? I hope it's not. I hope it's not. If it is, that's fine. It's a beautiful chord. But what it tells me is you're probably not learning the right chords to play comfortably and self-accompany out of the key of A. Now, I like F, C, and D myself. If you know anything about music theory, you're like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. That may be true. There may be some truth there. But I do know more tunes in the key of A than I think most fingerstyle guitar players do. So I'm really excited to share this with you. We're talking about the key A. Now, it's kind of nice. We have an A string, right? If you're thinking the 12-bar blues, our next chord is actually D, and we have a D string. So, kind of convenient. Our next chord is A, and we have an A string. If you're smart, you know the next chord is E, and we have an E string, so that's very convenient. Go back to D. Now, this isn't super interesting, but if you learn about that, you get to learn how to apply other things above it. Some really cool groove stuff like Kind-Hearted Woman. He's taking full advantage of that. Got our E, stumping that low E, play a chord. Just play groove stuff, right? There's tons of melody stuff you can play too. And this tune, I almost hear the echoes of Louis Armstrong's trumpet. It was written by his guitar player, Johnny St. Cyr. Something like this. Just be stuck in first position either. You can use these open strings to bring you across the fingerboard. Think about Willie Brown's Mississippi Blues, just that. Still using open D. Just a few reasons why I love playing out of the key of A, and it's going to be a part of a series called Alphabetical Blues. A is the first letter in the alphabet of 8 keys. Now, if you're thinking 8 keys, 8 keys. Now, stick with the series and you'll see why. Go ahead and press subscribe and tell your friends, or just keep a lookout. This is part 1. This is the first part. This is the key of A. So we learned we have the bass strings below. What chord should we use? Well, the first thing you want to do is I would just ditch that chord for now. Keep that chord for bluegrass or folk or somewhere. It's got its purpose, but it's not going to have much purpose for the key of A in this style. What we are going to want to replace those with this chord. And that's a little mini bar. Here's why. You get a ton of chords out of that. You get an A chord. You just don't hit that top string. If you want to hit that top string, you can bar it all the way across. You have an A6 chord. You also have an A7 chord. You have an A major 7 chord. Now, those of you out there who are like, major 7s, we don't play those in blues. Listen to George Carter and you tell me different, right? Okay, now one more. You've got an A chord, just an A triad again. We call that a long A chord because it's like A, but it's long. Now, in the beginning, I was talking about an F, C, and D chord, and we're going to get to that right now. I just wanted to show you how you should alter this chord. If you are going to use this chord, alter it to that. It's going to get you so many more options. F, C, and D. Now we're talking shapes. So if we're talking an F shape, we're going to take this F shape and we're going to bring it all the way up to the 5th fret. You have 2 unisons. You have A and A, and then you have E and E, which is just a really cool sound. You can take that one step further by just opening instead of thumbing that chord. And that's a really cool sound too. What's great about it is you have this pinky, again, for melody notes. You may have done that kind of thing with your other F chord shapes, but what's cool about the key of A is adding that additional drone to it. Now this could be shifted up to D as well, and you can still use that open A. You can also shift it up. 12 fret players like myself, we can't move too much higher than this, but if you have a 14 fret guitar, you can shift it all the way up here. And you can utilize your open E. So just to give you an example of how you could utilize even just that one chord, something like this. This is gonna suck, but I'll do it for you. Also do a turnaround in the shape like this. Let's talk about the C chord. The C chord I primarily use, well, it's a C7 shape if we're going to be picky here. I primarily use it for the D shape, the D chord, and the E chord, right? And so I'm sure you've done that kind of thing before in other country blues and fingerstyle stuff, but that's a really great and useful thing. Again, though, let's alter it to fit the open strings. We can use an open A string on our D7 chord, or even double it up with the 5th fret. The open E is always great on the D7 chord in the key of A too. Makes it a D9 chord. Lovely sound. And then the E chord, similar, we can just hit that open E. But I'll just improvise a little 1-4-5 blues with those concepts. I think it should sound good. It should sound good. Not bad. A little jumpy, you know. I don't mind jumping up to a new chord, but when I have to jump down, it just feels a little jumpy then, right? But let's fix that. Let's clean that up with adding one new shape. And this is the D shape. Also can be altered to D7, right? So we have D, we have D7. A lot of us know that you can move that one around. It's very common to do that. So we can take, you're looking at this D chord, that's the root right there. Find an A on that string. There you are. This is an A chord. Make it an A7. You can do that same thing, find an E. That's an E, make it E7. So we could play our full blues with just those two chords. Again, pretty jumpy, but let's combine that with our other chord shapes and we can figure out how to be less jumpy, right? You can see, oh, when I move up here, there's another chord I can grab up there, hopefully, than jumping back home, right? So I'll do a quick run through of all those three chords and how we can mix and match them to improvise and play some really interesting stuff in the key of A. If you dug that version of combining all three, I'm going to have it tabbed out over on the Patreon. You can get at it there. you can learn how to play like this. Again, this is a part of a greater series called Alphabetical Blues. We could call it ABC Blues if we wanted to. So next in line is the key of B. B flat, it's gonna be B flat. Not a lot of B going on in the country blues idiom, but tons of B flat. If you didn't know that, you're gonna love the next video. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Keep up with it over on the Patreon, subscribe, tell your friends, and we will see you at the next vid.